Okay, it's going to start soon, and it does say recording. So on tonight's edition of PotWater Presents, I am so thrilled to be bringing you Collette from Love Culture, and I met her through through my friend JJ, who is phenomenal, and she recommended I check this out, and I am so glad I did because it has been completely life-changing. So thank you, Collette, for everything that you do.
Thank you.
And I am going to let you explain what you do because I don't want to explain it wrong. But I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with me today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Collette Elosha, and I started an online community called Love Culture, and that community is really based on a practice that I created called cannabis meditation. And so basically what we do every Monday night at 7 p.m. virtually Mountain Time, we meet on Zoom, and I guide the community through a virtual cannabis ceremony. So I created this practice, or it came to me, I guess, in 2019, and I started sharing it kind of pre-pandemic life in California and in LA, and then went virtual once the pandemic hit. And I've been guiding this practice now for almost 2.5 years straight on Monday nights. So it is a big accomplishment. It feels really cool. So I have taken this one little practice and I've grown it into lots of different things. I offer different classes, different modalities on my Love Culture platform. There's other teachers that have come through my training that guide other cannabis meditations on the platform. Basically, I don't even know what you would call me, like a somatic, energetic healing arts practitioner. And cannabis meditation, thank you. Cannabis meditation is one of the modalities that I employ to support clients, to support my community, and to support people in general, in person and online, using plant medicines for their own healing and evolution, growth, and spiritual practice.
That's awesome. I know I have partaken myself. And one of the things that really touched me the most is in the very beginning, you blessed the sacrament.
Yes.
So can you explain a little bit about what that is and why you do that?
Yes. So I had been a longtime meditator and a longtime weed smoker, but I never put those two things together. Every spiritual teaching on the planet says don't do, mix mind altering compounds with a spiritual practice. So my upbringing is actually evangelical Christian and a lot of people pleasing and a lot of rule following in here. And so I just was very adamant on keeping my spiritual life and my cannabis consumption very separate. I had evolved through all of the shame and the stigma of even using cannabis since I was 17 years old. It helped me in my mental health in ways that I couldn't even understand at the time. And so the whole time of just like evolving my relationship to cannabis, but it was still like, oh, well, we keep it separate from the spiritual stuff because, it's still cannabis after all. So just my own stigma that I held around it. And so then the one day I had been meditating a bunch, still without cannabis. I had been doing a lot of yoga, a lot of movement, a lot of actively attempting to support myself in my healing, and was just feeling like I was coming up short. So I was feeling a little bit, I don't know, even spiteful, I guess, that day. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to smoke some weed and meditate and see what happens. And it was kind of this like energy of, just in case everybody's right and I'm about to get smited from heaven or something, or, God's going to throw a thunderbolt down on me or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just going to pray over this experience, because ultimately at the time I was still very much identified in the church and I was seeking God and I was hurting and I just was calling out to the God as I knew it at the time in the relationship that I had. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to pray over this just in case it does get weird. But ultimately, like, I'm begging, I'm desperate. God, please come and find me here in this moment. And so it was a combination of those two things, kind of the fear around all of the stigma that has been perpetuated over centuries and thousands of years. But also just because of the state of heartbrokenness that I was in, just seeking time with God in a way that would feel nourishing or feel like, okay, I'm not alone down here and like something is making sense. And so I blessed the medicine and just asked God to come in here and just asked what I related to the word God at the time. That was the only truth for me. And so I was like, okay, God, I just want you to come here, come show up for me in this way. And so that experience changed my whole life. It changed the trajectory of my life. It wasn't just God showing up being like, I got you, you're good, like good job having a hard time. It was literally like, oh, here's a gift that is going to change the rest of your life. And the practice has, not only in my own personal exploration of the practice, but in the way that I've now been given and gifted the opportunity to share it with others. So for me, it was this this conscious decision to say, okay, I smoke a lot of weed. I love cannabis. Like, this plant has saved my life time and time and time and time again. And I love to get high and clean my house. And I love to get high and get in the bathtub. I like to get high and watch stuff on like a movie or something. I love to get high and read. Like, I use it for recreation. I use it for medicine. It helps me sleep. It helps my pain. It helps my mood. It helps my digestion. Like, it helps with so many things medically. But then spiritually, because I had never explored it in that way, I didn't really know how to leverage it. And so blessing the medicine in the way that I do, or the way that people in my community bless their own medicine or allow me to bless their medicine on their behalf, is just a way to say to the plant, which is a plant medicine, to say to this sacred herb, like, hey, I'm sitting with you now for something deeper. I'm sitting with you now for something more than just my pain or my sleep or my fun or my laughter, right? And so it is by offering a blessing over the cannabis, it not only sets your heart and your third eye and your intention up toward meeting something greater than the self, but it also communicates to the plant medicine itself, like, hey, this is why we're sitting with you today. But it also communicates with the mind body complex, the mind body spirit, the human, that says, hey, we're here to do some work, we're here to do some healing, we're here to grow. So the blessing to me is in some ways the most important part of using cannabis inside of sacred practice. And however someone chose to bless their medicine, it's really just that humble acknowledgement of coming to something, whatever you want to call it, that is greater than the self. You might call it God, you might call it universe, source, creator. There's a bazillion different names that you can use, or there's lots of different archetypes that you might resonate more. But it's really just this notion of, I'm coming here to be changed. I'm coming to grow, and I'm seeking my support outside of myself to do that.
I love that. And that totally resonated with me. And after you did that, that's when I was like, I have to talk to this girl. This is so amazing, because I was raised Baptist, very strict. And so it was, again, the whole struggle. And like, I even have Genesis 1:29 on the back of my business card. And I've gotten a lot of pushback from that, from having, that all plants, of a seed are for us to eat, and, like, we're provided by God. And so when you did that, it was like, oh my gosh, you're like, this is okay. And it totally changed my spiritual practice. I don't use it every time, but it opened up, like, that night with you. In that meditation, I finally felt like I got my answer as to what is God. And for me, it was God is love.
Yes.
And there's a video going around Facebook that, like, God is water. Like, what if God was water? I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I haven't seen it.
I'll have to send it to you, and I'll post the link underneath our video too. Once I post that. But it was basically like, God doesn't go by a specific name. It's just love. And it's not male. It's not female. It's not, it's that man has taken that construct and turned it into all of the things that create the negative space. But God is just pure love, and is everywhere, and is there for you to love others and use that to love others, however that may be. And so it was an amazing transformative experience, and I'm so glad I got to finally share that with you.
Thank you.
And so that's why I just want to encourage other people. Like, I am so thankful for you to come out and do this in a way that is different from how everyone has, and that is allowing others to say, you know what, this is okay. And another thing that spoke to me too is that you don't say, okay, it has to be God, it has to be my prayer, it has to be. You're totally like, whatever you use to communicate with whatever you communicate with. Like, I've always told people, whether you believe like Steve the Rock is your God, go for it, man. Like, whatever, or Joe the Banana, or whatever it may be. And so that totally resonated with you. And it was like, I finally found a place where I felt safe and loved. And you send the emails out, and I've answered a few of them. And I've missed a few of them. And I feel, I just keep telling everyone when they're like, I'm on this journey, where do I go? I point them to you, because
Yes.
there's so many people that are on spiritual journeys that are wanting to find deeper meaning. And for me, that's what it brought, was a deeper
Yes.
relationship that I would not have gotten had I not used the cannabis. So thank you for giving
Yes.
an open space for me and others. And I know the last time I was there, the room was full. You had 100
Yeah.
people in it, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really excited. I feel really honored to be a steward of this practice, because ultimately I didn't create the practice. I mean, I have studied meditation from lots of different schools of thought, and then I've smoked weed for a really long time. And I just put these two things together, and then this thing was born. And so I do believe that this practice and the people's response to it is not of me. It's of something greater than me. And you can call it God. I like to call it God, but some people don't like that word. And ultimately, I recognize that my role in our culture, whether that means like I reach 100 people or I reach thousands, it doesn't matter. But I do recognize that my role in my life right now, a part of my dharma or my soul's calling on this planet, is supporting this dismantling of organized religion and how that has caused so much harm to so many people. And I say that even my family is still very actively involved inside of Christianity. I still believe and aspire to and ascribe to a lot of the teachings that are rooted in my roots in Christianity, and my work with cannabis meditation, my work with other psychedelic medicines, my work with somatic practices of healing and releasing, and the constant evolution and seeking through my mind of God being bigger than we could ever possibly imagine, so much bigger than the box that even Christianity puts it in. And so I see, and sometimes it's overwhelming, to be quite honest. Like, it's overwhelming to feel like a part of my work and a part of my purpose is to help dismantle a lot of these paradigms and constructs that have been used to cause harm in the name of God. And that's why I'm very mindful and intentional to not project my own personal language and relationship to this entity onto those that come into my space, because my whole belief system or structure of creating things is I don't need to tell you who God is or is not. I can show you a path into yourself in your own body that you'll have an encounter with something, and then you can label it whatever you label it. And so if love makes sense, then love makes sense. And if water makes sense, then water makes sense. And if the divine feminine feels better in your body, or the divine mother makes more sense to you right now than the God the Father, right? Then who cares? Let's break down some of these archetypes so that the humans will actually come to the creator that can't be named by any of these names anyways, right? I always like to use the analogy. You said God is water, and I use the analogy often that I imagine Niagara Falls. And Niagara Falls running, barreling over the side of the thing there, right? And someone gets a little disposable camera from the 90s, and they hold it up to the thing, and they snap a picture, and they just have a picture of this much water of the falls, right? They get as close as they can. It's just the water. And then they go, this is God. Look at this picture. I took a picture of God. Here, look. No, this is God. You have to believe me, right? And I'm saying, well, yeah, I know that is God. And that's how I feel now about organized religion's perception of the creator, that you're holding up a picture from a crappy camera saying this is God. And I'm like, well, no. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying, but Niagara Falls, that is the source. And so that is where my own personal practice is seeking me to understand is, yes, the picture is also God. But if we only are tunnel vision at the picture, then what are we missing? And what we're missing is so much love, so much aliveness, so much freedom that is lost in the translation through organized religion. And so that's where, to me, my work is really rooted in teaching and empowering this sovereign and independent relationship to one's own creator. And whatever you want to call your creator that. But when you address this entity, especially in a ceremony with cannabis medicine, it's likely you're going to find it.
I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, just listening to you and that analogy of Niagara Falls, like I'm picturing it. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's
Yes.
exactly it. That's what I've been trying to like tell people for years and didn't have that. So I will be using that going forward.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to steal that because that's exactly it. And that's how, but I didn't, it's like having these conversations are so important to be able to get that across to other people. And I can't wait to see the response to this and to see how many people will start coming to
Yes.
your meditations, because I'm going to be there. And I appreciate you so much for doing this. And it's something that I didn't even know I needed in my life. And when I came to it, it was so amazing and life-changing that, you know, I encourage everyone to come. And you also have a unique where you the way that people can pay. And so can you explain a little bit, because it is a paid event, but I you know
it's a donation-based practice. Yes. So I have set this up as a donation, the Monday night meditations, which you can log on through a couple different avenues to get there, but they're on my virtual studio, which is Love Culture. And so Monday night meditations are a donation-based practice. And so basically it's open to donations. And I suggested donations, $10, $10 to $20, depending on where you're at, you know, and ultimately my intention behind that is twofold, as most things are. First is that I feel like this practice was gifted to me from the divine. I don't believe that it is necessarily mine to sell. And although I use the practice in lots of different other avenues of my work where I do charge for these things, it's accompanied with other things, mostly my wisdom or my experiences or different things that, or my time or whatever in those ways. So my offering of Monday night meditations being a donation-based practice is partly that, because it's a spiritual practice and I don't believe that it should be withheld from anybody, and especially don't want finances to be a gatekeeper for people that can't access healing spaces because of financial barriers. And so, yeah, so my intention is just to keep it a donation-based practice so that those that are in abundance will contribute and share in that space, or just offer an energetic exchange, even if that's the cost of 2 cups of coffee or whatever, right? Just offering and just saying thank you in a sense to myself in the effort, but also thank you to the practice. And it's just a way for me to keep it free and to keep it open for anybody to have access to. And so then I have different options available. You can either make a donation, you can become a member on the platform and get access to lots of different other classes or recordings or pre-recorded workshops. I also teach a cannabis optional breathwork class on Tuesdays after this call, actually. So Tuesday afternoons, I teach a cannabis optional breathwork journey. That's a hugely powerful and beautiful experience as well. And so cannabis meditation is sort of the foundation that sets people up for deeper experiences, not only of spiritual expansion, but also of somatic and nervous system healing as well. And so a lot of the focus that I do, because I love the fact that you come in from the spiritual perspective, but also the spiritual perspective is quite intimidating for some people. And so I try to keep a really open balance of like, yes, if you want Monday night meditation to be a deeply spiritual practice for you, it will be 100%. But if that's like not really your jam and you're a little bit spooked by it, but you can get over like the fact that we are going to bless the medicine and you can still hang with us through that process. It's a deeply, profoundly healing modality to the nervous system and to the physiology of the body as well. And so I like to offer and educate people on both sides of the coin. Whereas like, yes, this will expand your spiritual practice and it will take you to the creator and it will grow your understanding and your belief in what you call God or don't call God. And also it's going to recondition your body out of a trauma response state. It's going to ground and slow down the heart rate, the breath, the breathing rate, and it's going to help you tap into innate healing states inside your body. And so it's, I mean, honestly, it's just dope. It's just super freaking dope. The practice is dope. I know I kind of veered off your question, but I think I answered your question. Okay.
No, but that's exactly it. Like, that's what I want. That's why I wanted you to explain to people, like, because it isn't just one thing. It is so many, it's so multifaceted.
Yes.
And so I didn't want to miss that's why it was important to have you do it, because it's like, I can explain what it is for me, but, coming from you, because it's going to be your face that they see, not mine.
Yes. Yeah.
And the way you connect so intimately with everyone is so amazing, because we've lost that in our society with the pandemic and everything. And it does literally feel like you're speaking directly to me and nobody else is in the room when I'm there, which is amazing, and even though everybody is still there and you get to see people in the background, that's so kind of cool too, because you're like, okay, I'm not alone in this, and there are other people seeking this as I am. And like, it's funny because you always do the face. Can you explain the face?
Yes. Yes. So
the first time I was like, huh? But now I get it. And actually my daughter and I use it. Like, if we're out somewhere, I'm like, okay, if something goes bad, give me the face. So
yes. So I call it the international symbol of what the fuck. And so basically I tell people that if during cannabis meditation, it gets a little dicey or a little crazy for you, because sometimes it can. Cannabis is a plant medicine. It's a psychedelic. And when you leverage it inside of a meditation practice with breath work, the way that I do, you can have an experience that's deeply profound and out of body and really overwhelming in a lot of ways. And so I always tell people before we start the practice, and it's not that it's going to happen every time, but you might have an experience from time to time where you're laying there and you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck is going on? Right. And if that's the case, to the point that you're uncomfortable or you're fearful or it's taking you out of the experience, I just tell people to flip on their camera and give me the face, give me the international symbol of what the fuck. And that's where you just get your eyeballs really big and you look into the camera and you give me this face, like, what the fuck? Right. And so that one, and then all that, and people don't even, honestly, if somebody flips their camera on and their eyes are open and they're looking at me, I can sense that we're having a what the fuck moment and I'm right there with you. And so it's a lighthearted way for me to tell people a couple things. Again, A is that sometimes this shit gets wild. Buckle up, buttercup, because we're going. But B is that even though you're in your room and I'm in my room, I can still support you through this process, through this screen. And so when I do cannabis meditation in person and someone's having a what the fuck moment, I can come over and place my hands on their body, or I can help them move energy in some way that helps them tap into higher states of consciousness. Right. But when you're not in the same room as me, I don't have that luxury. And so what do? Well, I can just meet you right here visually with our eye contact and with our breath, and I can see you and I can know that you're struggling. And in you knowing that I'm seeing you and in me being able to hold you in those moments, it just builds that trust and that safety in that community. And I have had a few people give me the what the fuck face from time to time, and nobody else on the call has any idea that it's happening. Right. And it's just me and you in that moment. And it just gives me a chance to help people be reminded that you're not alone in this work. You're not alone in this journey. And even though you're laying in your bedroom and across the country, wherever you might be, and I'm over here, you're not alone. You're supported not only by me, but you're supported by all of the spiritual support that we call in at the beginning of the practice. Right. And so having that moment of admitting out loud, either to yourself or to the person on the screen, what the fuck, I need support, then you're, kind of swooshed in and you're just completely held. And so, my intention with all of the ways that I run my practice on Mondays is informed consent, 100%, so that you know what you're getting into way before we get there. And so if I tell you, if you've never joined a meditation before, and I tell you that we in our community have an international symbol of what the fuck, then it kind of gives you a little bit of like okay, wow, what did I sign up for? Right? It's giving you a little bit more information so that you are in your complete and informed consent about whether or not this practice is right for you before we even get into it. And I do believe that in our age of Instagram gurus and plant medicine practitioners and facilitators popping up all over the place, I see so many people that are not offering enough informed consent to people. And that really rubs me the wrong way, because that to me is reflective of behaviors in the church.
Yes.
And so it
Excellent.
all kind of
Yep.
circles back to that, right? I've experienced plenty of church trauma. I support a lot of people that are coming out of LDS or Mormonism that are coping with a tremendous amount of church trauma. And so I witness more stories about the church causing harm than I do about the church doing good. And
Mhm.
so a part of my practices are intentionally aligned to your fully aligned to your sovereignty, so that you feel that you're in your informed consent to make these decisions for yourself.
Right. And that's so amazing because so many people don't. Yeah,
Mhm.
even the churches themselves. And like
Yeah.
you said, it's not to say that all church is bad.
Right.
That's not what we're here saying.
Right.
But you have given a place for people who are looking for something more.
Mhm.
And
Just for those that are ready for what's beyond the photo of
yes.
the waterfall, right? And
Yep.
so I have people even in my life that will look at this photo and they will go to their grave and say, "This is God." And who am I to tell them that they're wrong? I'm not. That's not my role at all.
Mhm.
And if you're satisfied in your relationship to your creator, then keep doing what you're doing, big
Right.
chilling, right? But if there's a part of you that feels like there has to be more, there has to be something more. If there's a hunger in you that's not being fed, then it's like, okay, maybe try another exploratory pathway to
Mhm.
find something that we have been told is wrong, or through something we've been told is wrong or bad through the church our whole lives.
Right.
How do we reconcile these aspects? And so, I'm not a church, like, I'm not here to say anything negative about the church. I love the church. The church shaped who I am as a human being. And I think that there's a lot of it that's created in old consciousness, old programming, in old patriarchal belief systems. And I don't believe that those are resonant with the current collective consciousness that we are experiencing right now.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I need to write that down. I'm so glad this is recorded because it's
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I have to remember everything she's saying and memorize it because it's all so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
It really
appreciate it.
is.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Beautiful
you need
space.
to get going. So I just want to thank you again for coming on PotWater Presents.
Yes.
And
Thank you
I will
so
put
much for having me.
all of your information underneath so everyone can find you because everyone needs to find you, whether
Thank you.
you're spiritual or not, if you use cannabis or not.
Yes.
This is a space and you have created such an amazing community through Love Culture.
Thank you.
And so I won't take up any much more of your time. I just want to say thank you so much for
Thank
everything that
you. I
you do.
appreciate you.
I'm going to
Thank
stop
you.
recording and we'll see everybody soon. Again, this was Collette from Love Culture on PotWater Presents. Thanks and have a great day.
Thank you.